Right, hello and welcome to our Jack's surprise, isn't he? Look at that.
No, I'm here.
Surprised you there.
Whoa!
Do you like that? Hello and welcome to our match day preview for the upcoming game at Old Trafford for Manchester United versus Southampton. And we are pleased to be joined by Jack, live as always in the studio. Have you noticed I've been shopping, Jack?
Yeah. Where do you get those sort of things? What's that? Prada? Is it Gookie? What is that?
Well, I thought I'd buy a shirt just so that we might be able to put some money in the coffers, so we can buy some players in the next 2 hours we got before we transfer window closes.
Ring the bells! We've sold the last shirt. We can afford Danny's contract.
So go, but we are also. This is a big entrance. He's waiting in the wings. You ready for this? We have Old Man G.
This guy
back again.
I'm back. Thank you guys for having me back on. It's a pleasure. How are you guys doing?
We are doing well. We're a little bit salty. I think is salty a good phrase to use? We've been robbed on two very dubious VAR decisions. So we've now had our bad decision, and it will eventually even over the season from there. So apart from that, we're all good. But and how are you? In terms of, I mean, I think last time we spoke, it was definitely Ollie's last game if he loses, and now you're winning the Premier League. So
yeah, it's a lot has changed. I mean, if you'd spoken to me last week, I've been thinking, right, what's going on? But a lot of changes of this week. A loss to Southampton. Sorry, not Southampton. Sheffield United. That's even worse. Bottom of the league. Arguably, in my opinion, two dodgy VAR decisions because he's clearly pushed behind. And that Maguire goal should have stood, but it is what it is. It evens itself out apparently. And then a draw to Arsenal, and suddenly, where we look like we're struggling. So I think that this game, from a United fan and Ollie's point of view, is kind of like if we're going to be even contemplating challenging a title, it's a must-win. But our home form does worry me.
Yeah, I think it's it kind of feels like for both teams. I mean, I think we both had very dubious decisions go against us recently. I mean, just briefly talking about ours, I went to the time and the effort of actually finding the images. As painful as it is to look back at those terrible displays, we had two. The first one being this one, which was our blatant and obvious handball. Jack, have you had any more feelings in regards to this incident? Anything that makes you think, actually, yeah, I suppose it's a fair call?
No, not really. No, I thought I was right at the time. My opinion hasn't changed. The only thing that's different is every time I try to forget about it, I find, you've made another clipped up video of us acting really depressed to it. So every time I think I'm over it, you send me another video of us being depressed. So it's hard to get out of this hole right now.
It is. I'll be honest with you, Jack. I thought it would make me feel better, but it hasn't.
No,
it's
stop
even
doing
just.
it.
I know. I'm sorry. I keep looking at it. And then the other one we had, same game. Would you believe? Same game. Is this one, which effectively we're now telling our players to roll up their sleeves when they play football, so it can be called onside. Another thing I'd like to point out in this image, if you actually have a look at the ball, it's moving. So the ball's already been struck. So it literally robbed. So let's move on.
You need to stop looking at the pictures, mate, because I can imagine you've stayed up late and last few nights looking at these pictures.
Well, I think you put it perfectly. When I sent you that meme, it was just like you just wrote two words: "It hurts."
Yes.
It's just perfect. So
I was having quite a nice night, and then do you remember when you were really miserable? Watch it. Remember when you were angry at referees again? Watch it.
That game we want to forget and put in the past. Here's something to remind you. Yeah.
All I want is just a game that doesn't have any ridiculous referee or VAR decisions.
So it's Mike Dean tomorrow.
Yeah. It all shapes up to be just another.
What are we gonna do?
Always Mike Dean, man. Oh, jeez, this guy needs to retire or something. It's just, anyway, guys, go on. Why did you depress me like that, Mike? Oh man, Mike. Dean.
Yeah. Now he's on our level. Yeah, bring him down.
Exactly.
Bring him down.
Welcome to our world. This is how fun it gets. Yeah. So But looking at it from a Southampton point of view, we'll put the Aston Villa game in the past. It's all done and dusted. Looking forward to tomorrow night's game, we have an abundance of injuries. So it kind of feels like this is, I don't know, what do you think, Jack? It feels like a free hit to me. That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
That's how confident I am.
It's not easy. Get three losses in a row, and it's a bit of a downward slip with all the injuries. Everything seems to be piled on a little bit. Does seem to be where we are now in the midst of our our big downslope of the season. I could see it being a real battering for us, really.
Yeah.
But like I say, I got a lot of trust in our backline, so hopefully that'll be our saving grace.
Yeah.
Hopefully, for the sake of our channel, I don't want it, but for the sake of the team, another nice, dry, boring 0-0 game. Just drag it back in. Just find a little bit of level footing, but I'm not confident in it.
No. I think both teams are finding it a bit of a struggle to score at the moment. I mean, just bringing you in here, old man G, because of course the last two Premier League fixtures you haven't scored a goal. Have I got that right? That's right?
Yes, because we didn't score against Liverpool, which was.
Oh no, you scored in the
Sheffield United, Arsenal. Sorry, yeah, you're right. That's right. We did score against Sheffield. Harry Maguire did the ball. Sorry, 2-1. Yes, so it was just Arsenal.
Yeah. But it's hardly an abundance of goals with your strike force going forward. I mean, is there any sort of things you think are contributing to that? I mean, there's not been loads of goals recently in general in the Premier League. I think a lot of people are forgetting, that of course there was a few fixtures over the weekend that were just simply 1-0 wins and, last night's fixture as well. So, but do you think there's anything contributing that from a Man United perspective, or are we in for a bit of a backlash tomorrow night, or what's it looking like?
I mean, I think the big thing is that I think people are beginning to, we are 5 months into the season. Obviously, a lot of this, there was no pre-season. I think you're seeing that a lot of players are now. We're seeing obviously with now a lot of people picking up injuries. That a lot of players are quite tired. In normal circumstances, we'd be having a winter break of some sort. But we're playing. We've just come out of December where teams are playing on average 2 to 3 games a week. And now we're still playing on average 2 games a week. United in particular are going to be going to February playing 2 games a week when you include FA Cup and Europa League. So I just think that people are just now starting to be quite tired. And this is where I think I said this at the beginning of the season. I was like, to be honest, the teams that have the biggest squad depth and the most consistent squad depth are probably going to perform the best this season. Even though, people start quite well, when it's getting to this part where you're now starting to see tiredness, injuries come in, you'll now start to see where teams will eventually. And I think that's the same case with Manchester United. And so, if you're a team that's just happy to just put 10 men behind the ball and defend for a while, and just grind out results, you're probably going to end up being more successful. There's no coincidence that Burnley are doing better now than they were at the beginning of the season, because it's just easier to just put 10 men and block and defend because people are tired and they can't do it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's a good point actually. When you think about it in that regard, players are going to be getting fatigued, and unfortunately for us, that's where a lot of injuries have come. And it's only going to be natural that these players are going to be picking up injuries. I mean, we've got. I'm trying to make this as light as I possibly can, Jack. I'm really trying, but there's some, depressing news in the sense that we've got Diallo who's out, Romeu's likely going to be out, Walcott who's out, Kyle Walker-Peters is out.
Yep.
I did tell you before the show, actually, it would be quicker to say who's okay. It's Danny Ings is okay, so
we got some great under 12s that are going to be.
Sharon from the canteen is going to be starting up front with Danny Ings.
We've got half of Eastleigh Town on loan. It's going to be okay. It's going to be fun.
What I would say to give you guys hope is that Sheffield United also had quite a few players out, and we still lost 2-1 at home. So there's always hope, to be honest, against this Manchester United side. Because our defense.
We've just got to hope what sort of Man United team that we get. If we get the Sheffield United one, it would be fine. But you've got so much class in that team now that they can turn up. It's just whether they do or not.
Or not.
It's completely on you and how you decide to play football.
It's exactly that. It's that kind of we're hoping for a flat, lacklustre performance from Man United. I mean, the opposing fixture at St Mary's, that second half, you guys destroyed us. Absolutely tore us to pieces. It was the kind of like at halftime we were like, "Wee, this is great, going perfectly well." And then all of a sudden it was kind of like, what's happened to the team? And then at 60 minutes you sort of suddenly realised like this is going to be a long final half hour, and we're totally outclassed. And,
we couldn't even complain about the goals because they were all really good goals. Oh, damn! They've done it good. They've done it good here. There's nothing we can't complain about any of these.
Losing in stoppage time and Fergie time and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of like you could see it coming. It was coming, and we just had an Edson Cavani masterclass.
Yeah.
So it just yeah. We'll see what happens. But are you predicting a similar kind of performance from United to that one, or how do you think they're going to line up?
Oh, I'm not confident, to be honest. I'm really not, because I just think that
he's being nice.
Because no, because the thing about any United fan knows that the thing about this team is that we are inconsistent FC, and Solskjaer has you can summarize Solskjaer's reign by we go on ridiculously good runs. And then we'll get to a point where we have a dip in form, and then we'll come back and have a ridiculously good run again. And I think the fear as a United fan is that, especially because we haven't got any transfers, is that we're just going to start to get into that dip of poor form like we had at the beginning of the season, and then maybe towards the end we'll pick up that run again. So it looks like certain players are lacking a bit of confidence as well. So at the time, maybe like Rashford and Martial, to be honest, haven't really been that great as of recently. And so really, unless Pogba or Bruno turn up and do something, there's not really a lot left. Defensively, we're still conceding from set pieces, from silly goals. So to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if Southampton scored similar to how they scored last time, which was from a set piece and from a corner. Well, I think they were both. One was from a corner and one was from a Ward-Prowse free kick. So I wouldn't be surprised if you scored again from those, because we haven't actually changed. We still concede from those. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was a draw. And on top of that, our home form has actually not been that great compared to our away form. So I'd be a lot more confident if we're playing away from home. But for some reason at home, we just seem to not be able to do it.
Interesting. Wow. Well, I think if you ask my Southampton fans, I can see a few in the chat section here. Lou's already put in taking 0-0 every day.
Yeah, big dreams. Big dreams.
It's like we're literally, we're about 23 hours before kickoff, and we're all like, take a point right now. Take a point right now.
Yeah.
But Jackie, are you feeling as confident as?
Hey man, I'm always confident. You can never knock me down.
But what realistically can we hope for here? I mean, have we got enough to snatch a 1-0 win?
That's all we. That is what we can hope for. But we've done it now. If we did it against Liverpool the other week. I know that's starting to become a more regular thing that happens to Liverpool now. But it's still, that's what we need to do.
Nice shot, Jack. I enjoyed that.
That's for everyone. Yep. We are the kind of team that can just get that early goal from a set piece and then shut it off pretty well. It's just there's a lot of times we tend to switch off when we're shutting off. Like when we were 2-0 up, we just were like, well, that's that done. We can lock this down. Good to go. And then we were just made to look like fools. So
do you find it a bit weird that we're able to hold on to a 1-0 lead, but we're not able to hold on to a 2-0 lead? Have you noticed that?
Yeah, but that's just
like Masters.
That's
only score one. Hold on. Fine. Two. Game over.
I understand. That's just a feeling that's built into me, though, as a Southampton fan. It's like, right. 2-0, I don't like that. I don't like 2-0 at all. 1-0.
2-0, Bednarek, get one of them. Definitely going to lose.
Yeah. Well, that's the record, isn't it? That I think that's why it happened, is all the Southampton fans in the chat saying, wow, when Bednarek scores, we lose 3-2, and it was just that over and over and over again. It just willed that game into existence. And the more they said it, the more it was like, well, there's one, there's another, and there it is. Right.
So do you think if your defender is scoring, do you think he thinks that he's like a striker or something, and he forgets his defensive responsibilities?
Definitely.
Yeah, he's like, I can let this one slip. I scored a bouter today. Don't worry about it.
He thinks I've snagged a header. I'm going for the perfect hat trick. So he's looking out for his left and right foot going forward. So that's basically what he's doing.
There's an extra bonus for defenders who score on the brace. They get a real big. He's in his own fantasy league team. He's like, right, I'm going to get these points today.
So, but yeah. So let's have a audacious time of the show. Let's talk about our score predictions. As always, we like to let our guests go first on this show. By the way, in the chat section, if you stick in all your score predictions now, we'll be going through those shortly. Let's go first. Oman G, what are you thinking?
Oh, 1-1. I think I'm gonna go 1-1 because based off home form, based on the fact that that we're not really clicking, and I think I'm gonna give Bruno to score for United and then Danny Ings to score for Southampton. Because even though you've got Danny Ings, I still think, because I suspect, I could be wrong, but I suspect he's going to play Lindelof and I'll say it before him. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer plays Eric Bailly, I think we win the game quite comfortably.
Okay.
But if he doesn't, and I expect he's not going to play Bailly, he's probably going to play Victor Lindelof. Then I expect probably a draw. And Danny Ings will probably score because I think he can boss both Maguire and Lindelof quite comfortably, or you'll score from a Ward-Prowse set piece because McTominay, who I think will also play, likes to concede free kicks very close to our box, and Ward-Prowse knows what to do. So.
Yeah, it's better than a penalty if we get a free kick on the edge of the box for us.
It's like a penalty, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Actually, when we get a penalty, he said, "Do you mind if we just take it outside and stick a wall in?" And we're kind of better at those. So there we go, 1-1. Look at that, Jack.
I mean,
what are you thinking?
I mean, now I know he's just being nice.
We lost to Sheffield United, man. I don't know what to say really. I don't.
Yeah, I feel you. Same as the things we've been saying. I think it'll be 1-0. Again, I would have honestly thought the same. When you see Lindelof and Maguire playing together, you always see Maguire seems to either be overcompensating for Lindelof, or they just don't pair well together. Although separately, they're pretty good centre back. So if those two start, I will be more confident. Especially with everything you said. But yeah, a real tight 1-0. That's what I think it is. But it could very much go the other way.
Wow!
in a big swing of a way. If I was on your show, I'd be like, yeah, you probably win this 5-0.
5's a little high. 5, not
5-2. 5-2. That's more of a Southampton score. 2-0 up, and then
that's fair. As long as we get a couple. What am I going to go for? Joe, if we do get a win, it's a big if. It will be a smash and grab 1-0. And on this show, as you know full well, I'm not allowed to predict a draw.
No, it's not
Isn't
allowed.
that right, Jack? Is that still standing?
It's not allowed. Yeah, that's not what this channel's about. This channel is about a biased opinion.
Exactly. So there we go. I reckon it's going to be a smash and grab 1-0 win. So there we go. Did I get that in there? Was that sneaky enough? So let's go over to the chat section. Let me see who we got here. Got Tom in the room. Tom reckons it's going to be a 1-1. Tristan would love a 0-0. This is where we're at as Saints fans. We'd love a 0-0. So there we go.
Real slap in the face when I watched like the intro to this, and it's us like watching us go top of the league, and then 10 minutes later,
I know, right?
An optimistic 0-0 would be good, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Well, real transformation takes real honesty. So we're at the honesty stage of this process at the moment. So optimistic 0-0 from Lou there. Kay's going for a 3-1. Man U hefty injury list is not helping, in my opinion. Absolutely right. We'll get onto that just shortly. Judah Tyres going 3-1 Man U. So it's even in the consensus that this might be in the favour of Man United. Yeah, so we shall see. What's this from here? Let's leave at least something for them, not allowing Williams to leave. Yeah, wait. Yeah. Why are you holding on to Brandon Williams? Have you not seen?
I've got no idea. I've got no
It's like
idea.
third choice.
I've literally got. I mean, I'm about to, once I finish this at about just about 10 after 10. I'm about to have a long rant about the diabolical Manchester United way that we handle transfers. You know, letting people go, signing players, and I've got no reason why we didn't allow Brandon Williams to go to get Premier League to go to, guys. I've got no idea.
Yeah.
No idea.
To put it in perspective, our second choice left back, Jake Vokins, we've just loaned him to Sunderland. Second choice. Your third choice, is not being allowed to leave, and complain about squad depth. It's madness.
I just don't. I don't get it. I really. It's weird because there are certain positions where we have multiple players in that position who stay and aren't allowed to leave. So, for example, the left back situation and also the goalkeeping situation, because we have Henderson, De Gea, and Sergio Romero. Sergio Romero is not playing, wants to leave, and we're like, "Oh no, you can't." And go, "Why not?" But then, in the areas where we are deficit, like as a centre back or right wing. There's even no interest, no talk, no discussion actually going to find those players. So the United board recruitment, in that respect, is a bit crazy.
You should allow players to leave, get them off your wage bill. It's
or even exchange. I take Bednarak, to be honest, at Manchester United right now. Like any of the Saints defenders, if they want to come to Manchester United and become part of a title charging team, we can exchange. We give you Brandon Williams and you give us Vestergaard or Bednarek, and it's happy days.
That's even when you say that, that's not an equal balance at all. Vestergaard's worth at least one of Bruno Fernandes's shins. At least one of them.
Well, that's a difference time makes, isn't it? Because I remember when we used to joke on this channel about allowing Vestergaard to leave for Leicester for 50, 60 million, and now we'd just be like, yeah, it's about right, actually, that price point. So yeah, that definitely is where we're at. I've just seen in the chat here that apparently Minamino is linked to Saints.
That's interesting.
I don't believe this chap.
Really? This has Fabrizio. I usually look at Fabrizio Romano. Who gives me transfer news. I mean, have a quick look, because that would be a
weird one. That seems
like a very weird one.
Yeah, you've got us guessing on their red and whites.
Yeah, I haven't seen Fabrizio Romano tweet it. That's
yeah, but you've got the more reliable source of our chat. It's that Athletic advert,
there's some. It seems to be going on Twitter actually. I think Transfer News Live, Southampton advanced David Ornstein, who's quite reliable actually.
Thank God somebody knows.
Wow,
that is actually at David Ornstein. So
10 minutes ago it was reported. Wow, there we go. Interesting.
See, at least you're doing something. You know what I mean? Like we can't. You're doing something, and
I really can't believe there's no centre back movement at all.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's crazy.
I just want to bring up this comment here. It's amusing me. 2 things guaranteed in life: death and Mike's camera dying. 100%. This camera needs to have a little refresh, little tap on the. So there we go. I want to bring back to your mention earlier, Olmenji, about the back 4 lineup for you, because you said about if Lindelof starts, you reckon it'll be a draw, and if Bailly starts, you reckon it's going to be. Tell us more about that. What do you mean?
Simply put, Eric Bailly is our best defender,
right?
Without a shadow of a doubt. But more importantly, Eric Bailly. When we play Eric Bailly, the team plays differently. So we tend to press more, tend to go higher because Eric Bailly basically has a lot more pace, a lot more recovery pace, and there's an all-round better defender. You find that likes Maguire or Fred or McTominay, whoever it is that's in front of him, don't necessarily track back as much and so as a result, the forwards, the front players tend to press forward, tend to go because they know that Eric Bailly can basically. So even if Danny Ings gets a ball over the top, etc., Eric Bailly can catch him, win the ball off, and it's fine, and the attacking plays can continue. The problem with Lindelof is that Maguire is that they don't have that pace, and so they often do get done on the ball of the box. So you often play two holding midfielders, which is usually Fred and McTominay, or sometimes Matic and Fred or Pogba in that position to come back to help protect the back two. And so the attacking phase of play tends to be a lot less intense, if that makes any sense. We just play. I think one of the reasons why we even actually got our run of wins was because I think Lindelof was out of a back injury and Bay was actually playing. And we were able to continue to press and push likes of Wolves and Burnley, etc., because he was playing. I still think he'll play Lindelof. There is a chance he might play Bay just because usually he alternates between the two in a 7-day period. But I suspect he's going to play Lindelof because that's Solskjaer's preferred pairing. But in my opinion, it's not the best pairing because Maguire with Bay, Maguire becomes even better because he doesn't have to worry so much about recovering and coming back, and he can actually do what he's good at. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, absolutely. We're kind of in a similar position ourselves because we've noticed a difference when Vestergaard hasn't started because he's been unbelievable in doing these long looping balls forwards and sort of finding players and being almost like a playmaking centre back, which is pretty odd, really. Certainly for the way we're playing football. But so we totally understand where you're coming from there. Jack, what are you thinking? Who's going to be in our lineup tomorrow?
Well, I need to take a look at the full injury list so I can.
Good man.
So I can pick from
who's left.
Not a lot. Not a lot, really. So I'm going to assume the back line is going to be hopefully Valerie because Kyle Walker-Peters isn't back yet, is he? So, and I don't want them to pull Ward-Prowse out of position again and make him play in that role. Like we said, the last game, it seemed to be so much of just rotating your spot in the team. Like we didn't understand where anybody was playing or what position they were in. That suddenly, 1 minute, Ward-Prowse was in the centre of the park, and then he was on the left wing, and then he was at right back. And it's like, what's going on here? Where's everybody playing? So rather than just start Valerie, who's meant to be in that position, and he sticks to that position, that's what I want.
Right. I did hear today, I think you're not going to believe this. Valerie has agreed a loan deal at Birmingham City.
Makes sense. Because we don't need fullbacks, mate.
No, you don't.
We only need two. You only need two fullbacks, and then everybody else can play that position otherwise.
So welcome to the Southampton. We've sold both our second choices in left back and right back position. Brilliant. So now that Valerie's not available,
right, so I'm going to be starting Shane Long at left back.
If you actually have a look on the Sky Sports team sheets, the last 2 or 3 games, there's been a number and then unknown written as a name. No joke. Go and have a look. It's utterly insane. And then literally a week after, the name is then who was that number 75? Oh, right. Okay, cool. How'd you spell that? Oh, brilliant. Okay.
It's not how you spell it; it's how you pronounce it.
How you spell it? How you pronounce it?
Very difficult. I need a person to walk me through it.
Exactly. It's like a countdown conundrum every time. It's very difficult.
So just as a question to you guys, like, who do you think, based on obviously what you know about United and of the squad that we're most likely going to pick, who do you think that United should be wary of going into this game?
Wow.
Like we say, all depends on who's playing. Like, usually it would honestly be like Kyle Walker-Peters gassing forwards. That would be really tricky for I think would that be Wan-Bissaka's side to be playing on? Yeah, it would be. So that would have been difficult. Going forward, Diallo has been absolutely incredible in the middle, but now he's definitely out for the weekend. So now for a long spell. He's been great at just running with the ball. He was it was it not the Villa, the Leicester match? He was in the middle of the game all game, playing really well, and then we had to pull him to fullback, and suddenly we lost just a ton of creativity in the middle of the park. So, but he won't be there this weekend tomorrow. So,
no. Well, at
Danny
point,
Ings, mate, that's all you really need to worry about. Danny Ings.
Danny Ings a due a goal, definitely. Someone's put up a comment here that thought Romeo had a great game on Saturday. I totally agree. I think he had a brilliant game. And
will he be playing tomorrow?
No, he's injured. So that's another thing to consider. But ordinarily, it would have been James Ward-Prowse free kick and a Danny Ings from something. That's what you've got to be worried about tomorrow night. So, but of course, that leaves a lot of holes. So, moving the question swiftly over to you, Midget. Who should we be worried about? Get a cup of tea, Jack. Get comfy.
Well, like I said, for me, the most important player that potentially is Eric Bailly, just because I feel that if your only main worry is Danny Ings, I think Eric Bailly would pocket Danny Ings fairly comfortably, but I don't think he's going to play. So I think it's the man that caused you pain beforehand, and that's Edison Cavani.
Right.
I think Edison Cavani, while he's been unlucky in the last sort of 2 games, like his movement in the box has been so good, and because some of our other forward players like Martial, etc., have not been at it recently, he's really been the one that's really led the line for us properly. So if Pogba and Bruno can basically turn up, Edison Cavani becomes I think a bit more dangerous. And the fact that he was able to get in those positions in your back line before with that intelligence, I think he'll probably do the same again. So I would say he's probably our most dangerous player in that sense. But he's a more dangerous when Pogba and Bruno are effective. Yeah,
I totally agree. I mean, just thinking back to that term fixture at St Mary's, I mean, it was just devastating. I mean, they were talking about the pace, but it was just the knowledge of like where the ball was going to be. That sort of intuition of the ball's going to be played there, so I need to be there, and already diving for a header that's suddenly going to be going to play a ball onto the top of my head. It was unbelievable, and it was really sort of back to the glory days of Edison Cavani playing at Napoli and doing what he does for all those.
We were all making so many jokes when you signed him.
Yeah, we were.
The funny thing is, even you lot were making jokes about it.
Yeah, we were.
So lucky that he's
signing for the shirt sales.
Yeah.
That's what we said, wasn't it? But,
now look at him, and he's absolutely class.
I think the thing that surprised a lot of United fans of Cavani is that like he's a professional. Like, so, and I know it's almost a oxymoron, but they're like a lot of footballers that are not, I would argue, professional footballers. By that I mean like conduct themselves in a way off the pitch, but certainly on the pitch in a professional manner. So they train hard, they work hard, and when they're on the pitch, so even when Cavani doesn't score, you still see him making those runs. You still see him tracking back, coming back to defend, clearing appearances. He doesn't just sort of and fizzle out of games. Like he works hard from 0 minutes to 90 minutes, despite the fact he's 33. And I think you appreciate that effort and that work ethic, on top of the talent that he has, as opposed to certain footballers that have a lot of talent, but then that in certain games they just have absolutely mere games, more so because they can't be bothered to actually do the basics of tracking back or looking, making a pass. Am I making sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Where does Paul Pogba fall into that line of professional players?
To be fair to Paul Pogba, I don't think he's actually been, in terms of recent form, the worst offender. I think he's actually been okay. He's been okay. I think Martial and Rashford, I think you could argue, have been, and I wouldn't say Bruno, because like I think he's allowed a bit of a dip because of just how he's been so far. So, and he's played pretty much every single Manchester United game since September. So I think he's allowed a bit of. But Rashford and Martial, I think have either need a rest or need to rotate. So and I also think that Ollie seems to do this thing, and I think he'll probably do that. He might do that again with you guys, actually, where in order to fit Pogba into the team, he puts Pogba on like the left or the right, and drops one of Martial or Rashford, so you could put Cavani in, and that causes a problem because it means that both of our wings are quite unbalanced. So sometimes you find if he plays Rashford on the left and Shaw, we'll be just attacking down your left-hand side, our left-hand side to your right-hand side easily, but our right-hand side would be dead. And so you'll find that we'll just be playing balls from the right to the left so we can go down. But if he plays Pogba on the left and Rashford on the right, Rashford's not a right winger. And so both of the wings are in balance. And so we have to play through the middle to try and create things. So if I was a Southampton man, I would say, okay, which side is United's weak side? And play down that. It's most likely going to be our right-hand side, or just pressure us through in the middle if Pogba and Bruno aren't having a good game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, I think that there was a game when Mourinho was in charge where we went 2-0 up against you, and I think it was a 2-2 in the end. But you literally the goals you scored, I think, was from Lukaku.
Yeah,
went literally straight down the middle. It was almost as if it was just comical. Just like, what is happening? It's just.
I thought we won that game. Did we win that game?
You might have done.
I think it was another 3-2. I think actually.
Was that not the 2-2 when that was what Mark Hughes got fired for?
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And the Cedric free kick.
Yeah.
Okay.
We remember every point on this show, seriously.
I remember every time we score 2 goals and don't win. Well, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Sticks in the grill.
When we go 2-0 up and don't win, it's definitely.
No, I only remember that because I was walking home in the rain, watching it on my phone, and Cedric scored that free kick, and like I just shouted, forgetting where I was.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people stood around me, just what's he screaming out?
Oh, good fun.
I'm actually steaming because you guys are going to sign Minamino and United are not going to sign absolutely anybody. Like, so I actually envy you guys going into this game tomorrow because you're like, at least you've got someone coming in that's new to sort something out, and we're just stuck with.
I literally just got a text from my dad saying, you know, Minamino's a great player. You're going to love him. So it's confirmed now. Dad, wow. Dad, the Liverpool fan is texting me saying. So, you know.
Did they learn nothing from the Danny Ings deal? I mean, surely, you know, they turn him into a world-class player again.
Because who's your current right winger right now? If you remind me,
that'll be Stuart Armstrong on that wing most of the time.
Well, or Walcott, he's injured.
Yeah,
fine. So Minamino would kind of be like competition for Walcott, basically, or just how do you think that type of play would fit into Southampton?
From what I've seen of him, they tried to slip him into that sort of front three of Liverpool, didn't they, on that wing? And we seem to be rotating our front. Past few games, we almost seem to be playing that same sort of 4-3-3 sort of thing, where Danny, Shea, and Theo all seem to move about and go up. And to me, it seems like everyone's out of position and crowding the box and not sure what they're doing. If that's what they're thinking of doing, and they want a more consistent attacking guy in that role, I think Minamino would probably be a great player to look at. And I've been saying that everyone's around the club will probably say centre midfielder or centre back or another fullback, but I've been saying all transfer window that I want a striker because Danny's on a bit of a drought, Shea's on a drought, Theo misses a lot, Redmond's injured a lot, Gineppo's injured a lot, so we need a goal scorer and someone that's really creative up top. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
That's the truth, and if that's what's going to happen.
That's a good
when does it end? When does it shut off? Midnight, is it?
11 o'clock. So in about just over an hour.
Yeah. But I think it was kind of a bit odd to see Shea was on the bench on Saturday. I was a little bit surprised by that. I'm not sure whether he's just sort of rotating players and he knew that he was going to get 3 injuries on Saturday's game, so he thought he better rest someone. But yeah, I mean, probably see him back in the squad tomorrow. But I think my thoughts on Minamino, he always looks like he wasn't particularly welcome at Liverpool. Whenever he came on the pitch, he always looked like everyone was just kind of like,
Well,
What's he doing here?
it's funny you say that because a Liverpool fan I know was telling me that that there seem to be some issues in behind the scenes of dressing room where like in Liverpool it's a kind of like I wouldn't say a clique but a very closed family kind of thing,
Right.
where outside of some sort of I'm getting the impression that I don't think there was as warmer reception to him sort of coming in, as it were, and maybe he's just been on the periphery, and I think that's probably affected how he's performed in training. So Klopp has kind of just said, we're not doing the most, etc. So
Yeah.
I think is probably what's happened with him.
I think it was him when he arrived at the club. There's a really sad video of him arriving at his first day there, and they're all away on a Champions League run. So there's no one at the club. So it's just him walking around the training ground by himself, like,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
big welcome. I remember seeing that, thinking that's weird.
Yeah.
But when you look at the Liverpool squad, you look at the front three and that core of the team and that starting 11, and there's such a unit in the squad. You can see that there will probably be.
But there has to be, like you've seen in Liverpool, there has to be competition eventually because, yes, Salah scored 2 goals against West Ham, great, but they didn't score for, was it 4 or 5 games in a row or something, before then. So I don't think Liverpool can rely on that front three indefinitely. They're going to have to bring people in.
It's that thing that Fergie was amazing at, was refreshing the squad when things started getting dry. You're not safe with it.
And Benitez.
Look at Van Nistelrooy was there for was it 3-4 seasons? Not there a lot long at all. But in that time, I thought you think he's done amazing. When you look at the amount of Premier Leagues you won with Van Nistelrooy, you think, oh. No wonder he didn't stay around that long. It was always that thing in this league. You need to do that, and I think it's the same sort of thing that's happened at City, where all these players have aged out and they've bought poorly. Now Liverpool doing it, sort of get to this point again where it's like, well, Salah's now aging out a little, or not aging out, but you need to change it up and do something different. But I'll take all the crops.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Liverpool appear to be scoring again, so they're back to normal. But it was quite bizarre to see them not. I think it was they hadn't scored in 700 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
And it was just madness to think that. And one thing that always annoys me is that Jurgen Klopp always goes on about they've got so many fixtures to play. It's impossible for them to perform a squad depth, but they just don't use it. And they have okay, they've got a lot of injuries. They've got Van Dijk, who's ACL, he's going to be out for the whole season. But then they have these other academy players that they just don't use. And I don't really, I lose a lot of sympathy from a Southampton perspective, where we're just, we do not have a second choice left or right back anymore. If they're injured, someone's playing out of position. That's where we're at. And for it to be so, I just get wound up on stuff.
No, I agree with you. And to be honest, this is what I see a lot of when City and Liverpool fans, when they complain about our best choice was out on something. Because even as a United fan, but the thing is that because we're a big club, and because a lot of our players obviously play a lot of games, for people don't actually think, for example, that Mason Greenwood is an academy player. So they treated, so Mason Greenwood's first break was just last season. And he's an academy graduate, but they didn't treat him like that. They just treated him like a Manchester United player. Right. Or Brandon Williams, for example, who's going to you guys. He was something that we had to rely on Greenwood and Brandon Williams, 2 recent academy players, for pretty much most of the season because of injuries. But they were treated by the public and by Rottweiler fans as,
just in the squad,
seasoned players, when they literally just come from the academy. And let's not even talk about likes of Rashford and McTominay, etc., who obviously were there. But then with Liverpool and City, as you rightfully said, as soon as their best choice forwards, midfielders, etc., are out, it's like, oh, woe is me, what's going on? We don't have anyone. And I'm like, hang on a minute, where's your academy? What's going on? We've got all our centre backs out. Nate Phillips is there. Reece Williams is there. You have players in your academy. Why don't you play them? Because other teams are playing them. So what's your excuse? So I agree with you. It does irk me sometimes when I hear people go, well, we're amazing because we managed to do Liverpool. We managed to, despite all the players that we have out, we still managed to win. You go, cry me a river. Other teams have done that as well. It's not just Liverpool. Sit down.
Absolutely. And then
I mean, the biggest emphasis of this was when we went to Paris to PSG, and we had like 6 injuries, made injuries out. We were playing Tahith Chong, Big Brandon Wilson, and we still managed to go to Paris and beat PSG with that. Essentially, kids from sixth form playing against likes of Mbappe and Verratti and Thiago Silva and win. So, it's possible. You just have to put a bit of faith in them. That's it.
Absolutely. So it's brilliant to see that comes up, and you actually see some fruits of the labour of the youth academy and actually coming through, and that's what I think football clubs should be all about, rather than simply chucking money at a problem. I mean, the other major problem we have, and we're just looking through this chat section as we're chatting here, and there's mentions of like wage demands, and that's the other challenge that we got as a club. I mean, I'm just thinking about your famous striker Alexis Sanchez, in terms of like literally his weekly wage. You get change from our entire squad weekly wage from his weekly wage.
Yeah,
no joke. You actually get change, and a lot of it. It's just, that's how broken the Premier League is in regards to the money differences between the top and the.
This was why when people said, "Oh, Jose Mourinho is the best, is awesome, etc." One of the things that I struggled to forgive him for was the purchase of Alexis Sanchez. Because City were linked to him as well, but Jose's thought process has always been to try and spite his rivals and to take players from them so they don't have them, just to show that he can get one on them. He did that at Real Madrid as well. He did that with a lot. He did that a lot with Chelsea, just buying players just so that. I think Salah, for example, I think when he originally came to Chelsea, Liverpool were linked with him, and it's kind of right. I'll get him. So,
right,
that Alexis Sanchez was one of the worst, if not the worst, sign that Manchester United made, purely from the fact that he was on so much money, did absolutely nothing, and to be honest, Inter Milan, Conte, I love them. I love that team so much because Conte took so much of our deadwood. Yeah. I think the last time I checked, there's like 4 ex-United players at Inter Milan. Lukaku, Sanchez, Ashley Young, and I think Matteo Darmian. They're all at Inter Milan. So I have massive respect for Inter Milan and Conte, because if he didn't take them, there weren't actually that many other teams that would, and we'd be stuck with these players having to play. So, that's respect to Conte, man.
Yeah, and you guys did it with Berbatov as well. I remember when Berbatov was going to United, they was heavily linked with City or something like that. So, so certainly not done in the past before. But yeah, madness, eh? Absolute madness. There's our stat man's in the room. Red Devil Studio, expect a random bid for a fullback from us. It's so desperate. It's so desperate, literally.
Guys, I would love if Brandon Williams went out on loan to you guys. I really, really would, because it'd be mutually beneficial, I think.
100%. Yeah.
We need a director of football, basically, guys, because I just don't understand the football logic or rationale in this club with the decisions and things they make. I just don't get it. And in a way, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been a victim of, because there's a lot of criticism on Solskjaer. I think all the people need to realize is that the board's and the club's ambitions are not the same as the fans. And what this transfer window has shown to me is that the board are quite happy with United just about getting top 4. Doing that and doing that and doing that. Because if they really were like an Abramovich, for example, who basically spent 200 million for Chelsea and say, listen, I'm giving you this money because I want you to compete for the Champions League and Premier League, not to just top 4, whatever. Whereas United, this is the closest we've been to a title challenge or top for 8 or something years. And the reward for that is silence.
Right.
So...
But what do you need? What do you need, realistically?
In the
next hour and 10 minutes, what do you need?
Ideally, a centre back and a right back, I think.
Okay.
That would be any centre back, to be honest, just because Rojo is leaving. Phil Jones isn't a professional footballer. He just isn't. I take Mike. I'd rather like Mike. You go and you take Phil Jones' spot. So like that's. I know United fan will disagree. If you want to go and replace Phil Jones, please do, because he's not a professional footballer.
I'd see if my wages will match. It's fine.
You know how much he's on?
Scare me. Go on.
He's on. I'm fairly sure he's on 200k. Yep.
Money well spent. That money well spent.
You could have Danny Ings 3 times for that.
Don't let him know that. Shut up.
Well, we could exchange. You give me Danny Ings, and we can give you Phil Jones. In fact, you don't have to pay a transfer fee. You don't have to pay a transfer fee. You can just have him. Like just off the books. So he's off our. It's
It'd probably be in the contract for Brandon Williams. You can have Brandon on loan, but you've got to sign Phil.
Yeah. That's why you didn't take him. Because you're like, we don't.
How has that? Was he on like a 5-year deal that happened?
Yeah, it was. It literally I think when Solskjaer was interim, just when he came in. So it wasn't on Solskjaer because he was interim coach or whatever. So he wasn't in. They basically offered Phil Jones a new 4 or 5 year. I have a feeling it was a 5 year, but 4 or 5 year contract, just like that, based on I don't exactly know what. And this is what our club does. They just offer contracts to players just because it will be cheaper to offer a player a new contract than go out and sign a replacement for that player, or actually try and lease that player out to get some money back from him. That's why we offer contracts to Matic, I think, is 32, 33. Offer him a new contract. Most big clubs don't offer big contracts to players that are above 32, 33.
No.
Unless they actually prove or demonstrate. You even seen the thing with Ramos at Real Madrid, for example.
Yeah.
They don't do that. United, of course we do.
Of course,
we do.
I bet he's got a statue in that contract too. The Phil Jones end.
Oh man, this
$200,000 a week. That's just insane. Wouldn't have Phil Jones for free. That pretty much sums up really. But oh my goodness, sorry, I'm in shock. Actual shock.
Don't be. So, and what we got for that 200k? Just nothing. He's just been injured for basically most of the. Oh no, we got one thing. He made a cameo against Sheffield United, I think last season, and conceded 2 goals. That's basically
solid. It's a solid performance from the
man.
Solid
performance, really. He got taken off at half-time, and we came back to draw the game.
Absolutely crazy. Wow.
Are you sure you guys don't want to take him? We'll
pass.
Do you know what? I think there's a pub team around the corner that are looking for some players.
Even the deepest of Jack Stevens naysayers would still prefer Jack Stevens all day long.
I don't know about that. I've been on I've been on the forums and I don't like him.
Yeah. I don't think you know what playing with Phil Jones is like, though. This is also one of the reasons why no one can argue for me that Sir Alex Ferguson is the greatest manager of all time, because somehow he managed to win a Premier League with Phil Jones and Chris Smalling as centre back. That's why for me he's the greatest manager of all time, because I don't know any coach, even Pep Guardiola, that could win a title with that man as a centre back. I just don't know if it's possible. I just really, really don't.
It is absolutely crazy. Just thinking back to the last player I think we had on a 5-year deal was Fraser Forster, and that was the time of Les Reed, and that was done. And effectively, he was on like 120k, and we were thinking, like, oh my goodness! And effectively, he was good for a season, and then he went out on loan and was far and beyond our most explosive player, and he was third choice keeper. So it happens to the rest of us as well, but my goodness.
Yeah, but look at him now, second choice.
Yeah.
Moving on up.
Yeah, where's my man? I haven't seen Phil. You can ask where actually is Phil Jones. I don't think people know where he even is. So it's pretty good actually. You get paid 200k a week, and no one knows what you're doing, where you are, or where you've been.
Yep.
It's pretty good.
Good life. That's a sweet life.
Good life.
Absolutely.
Oh, dear.
So just looking at some of these predicted lines, someone's putting a predicted lineup in.
Ooh, okay, yes.
So omitting Valerie's, because of course Valerie's gone off to Birmingham City.
Oh, I don't know about that yet. I don't know about that.
No?
I don't know about that one
Is
yet.
that not concrete?
I don't know. Let me look.
But looking at this lineup, if Valerie's still with us, I think that's probably a good shout in terms of who we'll see. I'm guessing it would be... Yeah, that would be all right, actually. That would be okay. And I think Gineppo's fit as well.
Yeah, so it's that middle of the park you're slightly worried about with no Romeo and no Diallo.
Looks like Josh King is going to Fulham, so I think the Leicester fans are out with that. So
see, he was rumoured for us as well. We were apparently looking to swap Shane Long for him, but that seems like another good. I'm glad we haven't got that. I'm glad Fulham have got that. Same reason I'm now looking at it going, I'm glad they got Loftus-Cheek and we didn't. You know. I used to get excited when Fulham signed a good player, but now I'm like, nah, not going to change anything, is it?
Yeah, absolutely. Valerie in talks with Birmingham City, apparently. So we do. Well, we need players, need anyone.
Yeah, you and me both.
We don't need Phil Jones ever. We'd rather play with 10 men. We've got through this entire episode without talking about the officials tomorrow night. And I understand, I'm just going to bring up briefly, we have Mike Dean as the official. And get this, Jack. Guess who's the on VAR?
Yeah, I know.
Lee Mason. You could not write this, literally. Yeah. It's I honestly don't know what they're going to do tomorrow night. I mean, whether or not Mike Dean's going to try and make up for something and immediately step on the pitch and send off Pogba. I don't think he can do that. But
I wouldn't be surprised. Mike Dean does tend to like to just book United players all the time.
That's the question. It's more, what side is he going to play? Is it going to be we're going to see a few Bruno Fernandes penalties, or are we going to see a few red cards? Because it's going to go one way or the other.
How do we wind up Bruno Fernandes? Yeah, that'd be the way to look at it. But I'm seeing lots of chat about this Minamino thing.
I think it's pretty much
is it happening?
Well, it was David Ornstein that tweeted it, and David Ornstein is very reliable. So
yeah, mate, it looks done from everything I can see.
Wow, that's pretty exciting.
That's
fun.
Happening live on the show. Look at that.
Oh, Fabrizio Romano is actually, the agreement between Southampton and Liverpool is imminent, as per David Ornstein. Deal expected to be completed on loan. So when Fabrizio is even tweeting it, then you're kind of like, okay.
Wow. He's having a medical and everything. Look at this.
It's a good signing. I think that's a good. So he might. Well, it'd be too late to start. Obviously, tomorrow, but maybe in the weekend, get him in that position for injured Wilcott as well, who's obviously out. Yeah, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Man, that's crazy. Well, we're about to approach the hour mark, which is probably the longest preview show I think we've ever done, ever.
Yeah, good job, guys.
But we haven't done one in a while. But considering these games are coming very thick and fast, it's kind of difficult to squeeze them in because you've literally got 24 hours before your next game. So there we go. But Matchday, thank you for joining us.
No problem, guys. It's been good. It's been great. I've been able to unleash my frustration on this club and everything. So it's also like a therapy session almost. Yeah. You know, it's like a match preview, and now it's become a therapy session. Like, guys, take Phil Jones, please. You
go on everyone's show saying that. You literally just here to push Phil Jones.
I try to. I'm going to bring Minamino's agent to just say, can you put this as a sweetener in the deal here? So we'll pay them the money, the 20, 30 million to take him, so.
Pay off his contract and just get rid. That's what I say. It's not worth it. My goodness. But depending on how salty we're feeling post-match tomorrow, you're welcome to join us on the podcast. It's always the case. But
no problem. Post the link, man. I'll be there.
But no, it's definitely appreciated, and we can just hope for a good game that's hopefully not spoiled by the officials. No dubious VAR decisions have to be made. Let's hope for good football. You're going for a 1-1, old man G. Jack's going for a 1-0, and I'm going for a 1-0 as well. Definitely going for a 1-0. So yeah, we shall see. But as always, remember, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. All right, see ya.
Bye, guys.